Okay, we'll start this year's video off in the back near the composter. So this was filled up to here, all the way to the top, like rail up here, and actually even mounded up above that. And now you can see it's already gone down, probably 20 to 25% of it's already gone. And then that's last year's compost right there, kind of ready to use. I've already been using that. And this is just a few special weird projects, like I got the Rugosa roses that we dug out in Maine over here, and they're starting to bud, by the way, so we're hopeful that that'll work. Got some things I brought in from Michigan here, like some myrtle, and that's an onion that was rotten, that instead of just throwing it in the composter, I just planted it in the ground right there. It's growing like crazy. I don't know, we'll see. Might get a second life. And this is just some Pachysandria that I had started over here when we first moved in. And then I take a lot of these extra daylilies I end up with to just hold this bank back, and that's where these poor stepchild plants end up. So anyway, lots to cover here, so let's move on. I think Carrie's going to be leaving soon, so I moved these purple coneflowers over here instead of having them mixed into the hedgerow over there, because it was just making that look messy. I think I'm realizing with these types of flowers, you're better off to do these as almost like a wildflower kind of a area. So I'll probably mix in some yellows and some purples here and just have this be a big huge flowing area of all a mixture of different kinds of like coneflowers and black-eyed Susans and stuff like that. That's a pine tree that I planted, I think it's 2 years now, but it's not doing great there. It does not look good. I've been pampering the hell out of it. Lots of fertilizer. You can see it's just not happy with life. I know you'd think it's the pH of the soil, but we've been putting tons of that fertilizer in, but I'll continue that. So I'm going to take you around this side here, and let's see, I split a couple of these earlier this year. You can see where I've had the soil has been already aerated all over the yard here, but I split two of these, and I'll show you where I put them earlier this year. My mulch guys are going to be in here probably in about a week, and I just bought these flagstones that I'm going to have him set in the ground with some crushed stone underneath them, because this path, it's nice with the mulch on it, but by the end of the year it gets kind of muddy. So these are some peonies that I just was splitting the heck out of stuff last year, and they're hanging on, but they'll do fine. It's their first year in that spot, so they're not real big, but they're going to do great. And you can see the rabbits are eating my hostas, but these are just such huge overpowering hostas, they'll just eventually just grow faster than the rabbit can eat them. And then these are Annabelle hydrangeas that I bought and planted last fall. I got 3 of them, and they can be split, but my plan with those is that they'll grow up kind of to the height of this to cover this back area inside here under the deck, right? So because they grow to about 4 feet, something like that. So this is the whole hosta area that I started, I don't know, a couple of years ago. These are some plants here that I don't even know the names of them, but they flower like for most of the summer, so I'll have to look them up. But I split them, and I've got like 4 or 5 of them going. Actually, the birds carried them in from the neighbor's yard over there, so I ended up just multiplying them right here, and maybe I'll take a picture of them later on this year so you can see that. These are my rose, not Rosa rugosa, but Rose of Sharon back here. They're not doing great. They're falling down the hill back here. And okay, resuming the video. There's Rosie. She loves me very much. So these are a couple of little extra coneflowers that when I was moving that whole group, I found them. They had seeded themselves over in those beds, so I just broke them off. Well, they were just by themselves, so I rescued them out of there before the guys come in and start mulching and everything. So I'll just grow those into a couple of big plants. And then that's some myrtle that I've gotten in a few places in the yard. Actually, that was over by the Rose of Sharon behind there. I just gathered a bunch of it up and put it all together in this container, and just trying to bring that along in there. This is just stuff I've done just in 2 weekends here. So all right, see, this is not growing grass well here, so tonight I just trimmed all these bushes back. And I've been trimming a lot of my trees back because I let them kind of grow in a lot when I wanted the privacy, but I realized I was losing my lawn slowly, so I then reverted and I trimmed a bunch of these trees all the way up to start to let more light in here. So, but anyway, tonight, just before this video, I trimmed all these bushes back about 2 or 3 feet to let some light down here. So, and that'll also let them grow taller. And then this is a Rose of Sharon that I either got from your yard or I got seedlings that it was seeding itself behind the garage. So I got one there, and then this has just been growing here. Kind of came in from the neighbors here, so I'm just letting it go, and I'll decide where I want to let that thrive because it's probably kind of invasive. This is a grass plant, so this whole bed, this was just a disaster back here, but I had to wait a while to see what kind of stuff would grow in here because I wasn't sure if it was shade, or turns out this half of it needs plants that take a lot of light do well, and then on that half it's totally different. So it took me a couple seasons to figure that out, but there's where I split these off to just a couple weeks ago. So those will grow there, but I bought those 3 grasses and they like it here. It's a real sunny spot on this half. So and then these are a bunch of peonies that I multiplied. These weren't even here, they were around front. And a couple seasons ago I started splitting them and moving them, making a whole row of them here. And you can see, like, this is this year's splittings that I did. And they'll hang on, you know, but they'll take a year. We're getting something from the Amazon guy here, so I'll pause. So then this lilac, if you can see, it's blooming here. Believe it or not, I brought this in from Michigan a number of years ago, like 5 years ago, and it's done quite well there, and it'll grow nice and tall, so it gives us some privacy on the porch. But this whole thing wasn't even there. I actually split this off from a bush that was up there. They have a huge grove of them there that's right near the house. So it's flowering, doing pretty well. These were planted by the guy that restored the house. All this front area here was all put in by him, these boxwoods. You can tell they look more professional. But anyway, then I moved some myrtle over here this spring. I'm just going to grow some myrtle around this tree. You can even see like a little daylily came in with that chunk, but I'll just weed that out. But these will do okay. They could use a little bit more rain, but they're going to do okay. There's a lot of roots here, so they're pretty tough. So, but I just moved those there this spring, so I had nothing around that tree before that point. But once those grow a little bit, I'll trim those back and make those look better. And then more myrtle that I moved here. This is all stuff that was just on the property that I've just sort of like organizing and moving out of areas where it was just intertwined with other stuff. And this is another lilac that I brought from Michigan, kind of blending in with the other bush, and they're both doing so well. I don't know which one I want to take out of there, but so that's a personal problem there, trying to figure out. I might just leave them that way. But and there's another peony that I really need to move out from under there now, because these have just gotten so big. This was brought in from a friend. I'm not even sure what this plant is called. Maybe you know. But she had a bunch of it. She said we could cut some out and take it. This is when we first moved into the house. So I moved some peonies here. Those look like they've struggled. And then this is the famous wisteria vine and trumpet vine, which is doing pretty well. It's hard to tell right now which one is which, but as the season progresses, you can tell them apart. So hopefully they're both surviving here. Who knows, one could be dead right now and I wouldn't even know it, but I don't think so. I think they're both leafing out. So, and then getting lots of looks from the cars going by. These are some grasses that were over there in the shade where those hostas are near the deck right over there, and I moved them around here, and they do much better over here where they get more sun. So they haven't come in yet this year. That's a yellow iris that I did go out and buy, and I plan to just kind of plant that probably on the other side. I'm just kind of letting it establish itself and grow right now. So there's no plan, but that'll eventually be split into several plants. And then that's a white lilac that I brought in from Michigan late last year. And I'm going to have my landscaper guy set these 4 blocks in this area because this is just kind of muddy and messy here. So, but this Rose of Sharon has been here for a couple of years, so it's doing pretty well. It's budding, doing pretty well. And this one was moved here as well. Again, some of these are from your property, and some are spawned off from those plants I had behind the garage because I was making a lot of seedlings. So, and there's a couple more peonies that I moved there. At one point, I think it was late and the worst time of year to move them, but I just buried a bunch of the roots and split them up, and just to see if it would survive. But, and then so that white lilac over there will get moved to an appropriate spot. It's just there. Sometimes I put things just to get them established so they can be big and healthy enough to survive the next move. And that's what I'm doing with this one here as well. It's another little white lilac. It's all by itself. But I also had like the, this is where I had all the purple cone flowers that I've moved out of here because it was looking very messy when I did that. And these are all the irises I've split out here in this area. Those are the purple ones I think I got from you. It started off with just one plant. They're all these like bluish purple irises. They're beautiful. In fact, I think people have tried to steal some before. I've seen people come by the house. But anyway, so that's it. We did the full 360. I had to kind of rush it because there's a lot to cover. I didn't want you to get bored, but lots of stuff. So I did get a couple weekends where I was able to move stuff before this weekend, so it helped, you know, with getting, I am probably going to bring in 3 big, huge, like, bushes that'll grow tall. Like, they have these 15-foot different types of, not arborvitaes, but they're almost like a bush / hemlock kind of a thing. And that'll help buffer the sound from downtown. And just, I'm going to put like 3 big ones in there, probably this spring later. But, and that's the truck. And that's it for this chapter of the video. I might have even forgotten a couple things, but so the mulch guys will be in this week, and then he'll put those patio blocks in for me from my walkway. Kind of get the hardscape in early, and then I can start planting more plantings maybe for the rest of the spring if I want to. And that's it.